Turn the mic up, let the whole town know. Truth hits hard when the headlines glow. From the courthouse steps to the water line, we followed the paper and exposed the signs. Burning bridges, lighting up the night. Toxic water, but we still stand and fight. Local, state, and the national map say her name loud. Nicole in all caps. Raw and unfiltered, reality uncut. Digging through the stories they tried to shut up. Speaking truth, demanding facts. Once the fire starts, there's no turning back. Nicole in all caps. Ooh, live every Thursday night. Nicole in all caps, bringing every issue to light.
I'm on mute. See, that's why it's important to have somebody watching. I just did all that and you guys couldn't even hear me. How horrible. Blonde moment there. Dee. So, my name's Nicole Skylar Kapuscinski. John picked the name Nicole in all caps for the podcast, so I will be your host for tonight's episode number, what are we on? Number 5. We're going to be talking about open doors, dirty water, and public accountability. Last week when I came in, I started out with my outro in case anybody noticed. And there was a little issue when John saw some of my my intros and my outros in our workboard station. He decided that mine were better and he deleted his, but I thought his were cute. I was still going to use his because it still tells all the different things that I do. So I do Nicole in all caps on Thursday. I do the Veterans Coffee Clubs on Saturday morning. And then I do the Heads Up mini podcast throughout the week and every time something important comes up. So let's get into it. I wanted to start with the open door law and address the public access counselor. And it's kind of funny, while I was getting ready for tonight, I actually got a email from the public access counselor, but I filed my complaint like so many months ago. So I'm going to pull that up here real quick so you guys can see this, because this is crazy to me. So I filed something against the Madison County access counselor, and this is what I got. This was in my mailbox today. I guess they sent it August 5th. That would have been yesterday at 10 a.m. Let's see when I sent mine. Does it tell me when I sent mine? Yeah, so I sent this back on January 6th of 2026, okay? And it was a complaint from November 20th and December 30th with the Madison County Election Board. So on the 20th, they gave out information that was wrong. And on the 30th, they had a meeting, but we weren't allowed to go in it. And everybody wanted to know what was going on. So my summary of the violation was: this complaint alleges that Madison County Election Board engaged in repeated and ongoing violations of Indiana's open door law, Indiana Code 514-1.5, and the Access to Public Records Act, Indiana Code 5-14-3, including unlawful closure of meetings, inadequate notice, failure to maintain or disclose records, and the exclusion of the public from election administrating proceedings. I still have this complaint because they do it all the time. But the fact that it took them, what is this, 8 months, 7 months to answer this. I done forgot I had filed it. That's why I don't like the complaint department or the complaint process in Madison County or the state of Indiana. I think it's kind of ridiculous that we have to jump through so many hoops to get answers. So their response to me was, you sent a complaint, correspondence, or information to the Office of the Public Access, OPAC, and our office notified you that the complaint was deficient or lacking information. You were given 15 days to correct and resubmit the complaint. Too much time has lapsed for the issue to be addressed, and OPAC has closed your complaint. Okay, so I'm going to have to go back after this is over and kind of figure out what, or if they sent me anything, because what Madison County Election Board Jeff Graham does to me is he doesn't notify me of stuff. Last week's a perfect example. We had the Madison County Election Board hearing on, what day was that? That was the 30th of July, on Thursday. And I sent an email to them the day before and asked if they were going to be hearing any other of my complaints, more specifically the electioneering complaint, and Graham said no. Well, after it was all said and done, and they had already got done with my my one signed complaint and dismissed it, because they would have had to have punished several people for being in the chute if they wouldn't have dismissed the complaints. They went ahead and covered the electioneering complaint that I'd filed against Mikhail. And it was obvious Mikhail knew about the Indiana code because he used it to get onto me about one sign that was placed by a volunteer. And of course, I wasn't going to be allowed to, well, I just couldn't bring myself to say which volunteer it was. And then after we kind of investigated it a little bit, we're not sure which volunteer placed that sign. And even at that, there wasn't any clear markings. So Madison County Election Board, I also figured out that sometimes it's not them. And I spend a lot of time being mad at like Tim Lannon and Linda Smith and Michelle Daniels, because she just says some of the dumbest crap ever. I wind up getting mad at them, and sometimes it's Jeff Graham. Like, Jeff's the one that's supposed to be communicating with me. He's the one that was supposed to send me the information, and he doesn't. So I'll tell you, if I would have been elected, I would have tried to get him fired. Just because I don't think he's a very good attorney. I think he runs Madison County, and I don't like the way that he runs it. And then he also, if you watch the August election board hearing, he knows that he can't tell me to shut up and he can't shut me down. So he told Michelle Daniels to punish me for saying something that they didn't like. And so, anyway. But we can't really file any complaints. So this complaint's from 8 months ago. And then I want to show you, let's go over here. Something happened this week I saw on the news, so that's why I wanted to talk about this. So supposedly, Jennifer Ruby and them are behind, like seriously behind. That's why people aren't getting their stuff answered, and I think that's ridiculous. There's my fat fingers. Okay, so this popped up this week. This is the Indiana Capitol Chronicle. And I find a lot of good information on their website too. So Governor Braun diverts staff to address public access counselor office backlog. This is ridiculous. And see, like, if they had some type of proper functioning complaint department, then we would be able to follow along with our complaints. You file it, It tells you what process you're on, and then it tells you the answer at the end. That's common sense to me. I don't think it costs that much money to keep people informed. But yet here we are, and the public access counselor seems to be overloaded. Well, why is that? Probably because a lot of people are doing the same things they do down here in Madison County, and everybody wants to try to run things a certain way, and they forget that we have laws, like Robert's Rules of Order. And speaking of which, I wanted to go over that too. So I don't know if we'll cover that one tonight or not, but I will put Robert's Rules on another one, maybe next week. Because my husband and I were talking about Robert's Rules yesterday, about how Robert's Rules really technically apply to the council members or people on the board. Sorry, people are texting me. So yeah, so really the Robert's Rules apply to the council members, and then because we go in there and we participate, they cover us too. But for the most part, it covers the council members, and they don't. I don't think some of them know what's going on, especially like the city council. If you watch some of those meetings, it's just ridiculous. It's like kind of embarrassing. And then same thing with the county council. And then when you look at, okay, these guys, city and county, don't know how to run their meetings, and it trickles down into the appointed boards. And the appointed boards, I don't even think they know anything about Robert's Rules of Order. Just like, which one was it? I think it was Board of Zoning. And they had more people in that room than they had ever had before. And it got a little overwhelming for them because they don't have an actual process. So back to this backlog with the open door laws, because I was going to file another open door law against the Madison County Election Board for not notifying me of the electioneering hearing last week. And then after careful consideration and picking my battles, I decided to stay with my defamation lawsuits. Instead of trying to fight the open door stuff, because I already know the open door, they don't answer me. And then now I know why, because they're backlogged and there's probably only one. And then if they don't have enough people in office, they're just going to tell us whatever they want. So I was a little disappointed about that. And this is the one who took over. Her name's Jennifer Ruby. But I've talked to like Catherine. Me and Catherine were talking, and she said Jennifer Ruby's never done anything for her either. Now, we all liked the other guy, and I can't think of his name right now. Luke Britt. We all liked him. He would answer us in what we would have considered a fair amount of time, like 4 to 6 weeks. 4 weeks seems like okay, but 8 months is ridiculous. Okay, so it looks like Braun appointed Ruby as public access counselor in 2025. There was a backlog of cases when she came in. And this year she has only posted one opinion online. Okay, that's ridiculous. The Indianapolis Star found she's taking more than 200 days to issue opinions when the law... See? That's what I'm saying. If the law... What is up with that? If the law says that you have to do something in 30 days, then you have to do something in 30 days. It's like, I was reading something to do with one of my cases, okay? So all this paperwork over here that you can't really see, and I have all kinds of documents, but I was reading this one earlier, and the police officer said that my husband didn't have... It says questions. He had issues with reading comprehension. How rude is that? We didn't have issues with reading comprehension. We had issues with nobody came to talk to us about somebody filing a frivolous protective order when there was no incidents of harassment, intimidation. Okay. So perfect example. People just write stuff down. And then we got people like her that 30-day turnaround, she's taken 200 days. So you think something's wrong with my husband's comprehension, but yet he scored so high on the comprehension tests in high school that he was in the not special ed, but the ones for the highly intelligent students. Okay, so his comprehension is very high, and that's some of the reasons why I married him, because he memorizes stuff that I don't, and then he remembers a lot of things that I don't, and vice versa, depending on the topic. So, talk about 200 days to answer somebody that's a comprehension issue. Should be able to answer those really, really quick. So Ruby is one of just 3 employees. See, that's sad. So to me, there isn't really it's not a priority to get us answered and resolve issues, and that's sad. They give $339,000 annually in the last 2-year budget. Governor's Office Deputy General Counsel Trent Bennett earns nearly a third of the $317,000 spent on salaries, but doesn't handle public access work. Is there something wrong with me? I have a problem with that, you guys. And now I see I've got a couple comments over here already popping up. So we got 6 puppies. Hey, 6 puppies. Yes, well, I can see your comment. I don't know which one you're on. If you're on Mouthwash, YouTube, then yes. Let me see, is that where you're at? I don't see where you're at, but I see your comment. So let me do this. I'm going to send this one to you. In Facebook. Okay. Here's this one. Alrighty. And then let's see. I want to send this out to, well, I'll get that in a minute. So that's 6 puppies is on. Who else we got? Oh yeah, it's my husband. Thank you, sweetheart, for listening and telling me that I had my mic on mute. I will say that it does tell me when it's muted. I figured that out on the Heads Up live over the weekend. And yeah, she's really gifted. Okay, and then all right, I sent you the link, 6 puppies. Yeah, I think so. Oh, you're over here. Hello. She found us. All right, so that takes care of that one. And then, hey, Rob, thanks for showing up. Okay. So yeah, so back to this. Yeah, so is there something wrong with me for being upset about this? This just seems messed up. Like, no wonder we can't get answers from these guys. It saddens me that we can't get answers. And then well, if you look at what happens to me when I try to speak at these, at the podium, they always shut me down, tell me to go, that I don't know what I'm talking about, go sit down. It's just insanity in Madison County. Isn't technology great? Some days it's awesome. Some days I want to throw everything out the window. Let's see. So, an IndyStar investigation and state media coalition revealed that Indiana public access counselor, okay, here you go, Jennifer Ruby, appointed by Governor Mike Braun, is averaging nearly 250 days to issue opinions instead of legally mandated 30 days, prompting Governor Braun to divert emergency staff to clear the backlog. Okay. So that, yes, the whole state would be behind on that. So we can't get decisions to help us. And then they get away with so much stuff because then they don't have to answer us, and that's not cool. So investigation and media backlash. So massive delay. State law requires advisory opinions within 30 days. Ruby's office took an average of 250 days over a 16-month period. Favorable rulings. The analysis showed Ruby sided with government agencies denying records about 2/3 of the time. Now that's another problem. because we should be able to have access to these records. And it seems to be a reoccurring issue in Anderson, Alexandria, Indiana they're way in the red. I think they were like $1 million in the red, and nothing's happening to them. And then you got Lapel, lost a whole bunch of people. And there's all this overspending, and whenever we ask for receipts for anything, they don't want to give it to us. And that's just, we should understand what's going on. They should be able to explain it to us better. And Six Puppies is over here saying Medicaid told her that their computers are almost a year behind. That's ridiculous too. I don't understand. Like, we go from having a pretty decent system pre-pandemic, and then it's like the pandemic shut all of our stuff down, and then now everybody don't know how to do their jobs, or it just don't make no sense. I'm gonna move on, but if you want to look some more about the public access counselor, I just found this information. It hit home for me because I can't get them to be more transparent. We have random people on the ground giving us more information and links to stuff than we do our own government agencies. Okay, so what else? All right, so over the weekend, somebody got a hold of me. They summoned me about some water issues in Madison County, and it took me on a rabbit hole. And I'm going to go ahead and touch base so you can see what I'm talking about before I move on. So this right here, what I'm on, is the ecoepa.gov website. And it tells us facility reports and lets us know things about the facilities and what they're doing. And somebody said there was one of these companies over here was just now filing something, and I found it highly interesting because it's next to Nestle. Now I'm going to cover something to do with Nestle later, because this week I saw something where they were talking about child labor laws in foreign countries. Okay, this is the one I wanted. And it got me thinking a lot, because we have them here and they take a lot of our water, and it just doesn't make sense how they can still have these children working in their fields for their chocolate beans or cocoa beans or whatever. And then some of them have been there like their whole entire lives, and they were supposed to fix it, and nobody's fixed it yet. So this is why they have all the extra. Well, you know, it makes you wonder. And so for the corporation that they were talking about, it's this one right here, and it's a Honda factory plant, but it's gray. So I haven't had time to look at it because I was dealing with the lawsuit stuff this week. Oh, interesting. Really, send me some links on the Six Puppies, because I want to cover some of the Nestle issues in one of these podcast meetings, and we might even do it with the heads up stuff too, because some of these are too long of subjects to try to condense everything into like a 1 or 2 hour podcast weekly. So that's why, like, on my heads up, I can just do whenever I want on certain topics. So Nestle is definitely is on my radar, because they're taking so much of our water. And then this guy just popped on my radar, and it definitely makes you wonder what's going on over here, because they're wanting to tap into something to do with this Prairie Creek that runs down close to 69 into Pendleton, some type of runoff. And if they haven't been on the EPA's radar, it makes me wonder what they are spitting out of their factory. Toxic release inventory. What's that? I don't remember seeing that one. Okay. And then look, there's 2 names right here. I don't think you can hardly see that because depending on what screen you're on, if you're on a phone, it's going to be harder. Okay, there we go. Let me get my face off here. Maybe that'll help. Okay, so this is what I found. So this is what they came up on the post for, and I can't even really pronounce that name. And then when I look them up, it comes up as that. And then this number is weird. So it has something to do with the TRI, which I'll go up here in a minute. TRI. Okay. Toxic releases. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. See, this is what I'm saying. Like, our environment is so messed up, you guys. This is why we have to pay attention to what we're doing. Stay alert, stay alive. That's why that's one of my themes. This is one of the meetings this week went into council to get approval. Really? Okay. Let me write that one down on my list. 6 puppies went on an adventure for me this week. Went over to Nicholson File and checked out what's going on over there at that building. Building says going is Honda plant across the street from Nestle. Yeah. It's a Honda plant. And this is concerning. So just give me a second. That's the expansion. See, they're sliding so much stuff in on us. I don't know what to say about that. So, well, what happened when I was looking at this over the weekend, I found something that is very concerning to me, because I got a friend that's over here. Actually, I got lots of friends. And like what one of the elected officials said, I don't have any friends and nobody likes me. That's not true. 1,285 voters voted for me, and look what they did to me. I beat the guy who told me nobody likes me. Like, what's that say? Like, I beat that guy because I am very compassionate and I am very empathetic with people. I want to help people as much as I can. So when people that I don't know try to tell me that nobody likes me, it's like, bro, you might want to look at more of my history and not listen to what the people say, or like the people that don't like me say. And usually if I'm getting in arguments with one of the elected officials, I have a good reason behind it. So, for example, right here, this is the Anderson. Okay, so this is going to be an Anderson substation. This must be it right here. Okay, on Park Road. And they have their infrastructure goes from the Nestle plant, all these plants down here, it goes right up Park Road, all the way to, guess where? You guessed it. My favorite, Anderson Wastewater Treatment Plant. That's in violation. Why are they in violation? And I did get something to pull up on the Anderson Wastewater Treatment stuff. So that's why I wanted to talk about it again, because it actually was showing me which CSOs were violating. Okay. Not giving me too much. Enforcement case report, air pollutant report. Okay, so Clean Air Act. So that means whatever they're doing is going into the atmosphere. Are you serious? So, and I called my friend and told her, I said, if you start smelling anything weird in your neck of the woods, please, please, please alert somebody to it. Because, believe it or not, weird gases in people's environment can also cause them to get sick. So there's that. Okay, here's one. So unresolved. See, I don't like it when it's unresolved. Like, why can't you resolve it? So now, what is this? So the violation was determined on May 26, 2026. It's unresolved. It's been 3 months. And so this is hurtful to me because they got millions of dollars that they're investing in this infrastructure and they're building new stuff, and yet it's not helping the issues that we have currently. I have a problem with that. So this says the clean, this is the one I like to look. So if you get on here, and this is, I like to use this computer or this particular website, because anybody in the state of Indiana can check their areas, right? So any county, and really all over the nation. So Karen, who gets on here a lot of times, she's down in Florida, so she could use this program to tell her what's going on in her neck of the woods. Yeah, you're good enough, you're smart enough, and doggone it, people like you. You know, sometimes I imagine myself in that movie, like that little, oh, no, I can't think of it. It's the lady that does the poo pie. And I played the little clip for everybody a couple weeks ago about Sumner, everybody being mean to Steve Sumner's victims and his wife. And I played the poo one, and I got flagged on my podcast for playing it, but it was funny because she makes a poo pie for the lady that's been really mean to her. So anyway, in that movie, there's a clip where she tells the little girl was sad and feeling not so pretty and not so liked, and she gives her that pep talk. And sometimes when I'm looking in the mirror, I do it to myself. I say that, you know, you're good enough, you're smart enough, and doggone it, people like you. I do a version of that. Because back in the day, I used to have a lot of friends. I used to have way more friends than I have now, but here's the problem. You know what war we had to fight? And if you notice, I wear these shirts a lot, the Dare, because I think, like, all my friends are dead. And Dare to keep kids off drugs. And it's a big deal because, like, my favorite people, I've had to make all new favorite people as I've aged, but my most favorite people growing up, they're all gone. Okay, she's saying she believes that both these things were talked about in the same meeting. Interesting. I want to know what meeting that was. So, okay, so if you guys want to check this out, you go to the EPA site and you can find everything. But the other thing that I've noticed when I look this stuff up, and sometimes I wonder if somebody's helping them cover stuff up, because if you don't have the right code, and I do agree, we might do an episode about it, podcast the next couple weeks. We've watched some stuff on YouTube. Yes, I watch a lot of stuff on YouTube. Actually, I watch I find good people on YouTube that can teach me historical facts about different topics. Now I'm going to have to go look for it. Yeah, Six Puppies. Now you gotta go look for it because I didn't hear about it. So yeah, we do watch a lot of stuff on did it to me again, on YouTube, because mainstream media just isn't doing it for me anymore. They're not telling us the truth. Maybe some are, but it's the independent media, people like me, Mouthwash, Indie Reporter, Brad Swinski, I think is how you say his last name. Huh? I know, it went out. I gotta put the screen back up. And I lost which one I was on. Okay. Sorry, guys. It's causing me some issues. Okay. I'm going to pop this one on real quick, and then I'm going to go back over here. Okay. All right. So that's the Anderson Park. So just know there's a clean, if you're in this area over here in Madison County, I would be concerned about being anywhere close to this, anywhere close to Nestle. Okay, what's that one? See, now okay, this was what I wanted to say. So I knew that this had been happening. So they've been in violation, the Clean Air Act. All right, so how do we know that it's them and not some of these other places around them? That one's okay. Because I would, if they're sharing some of these discharge points, I would be highly suspicious of someone like this Maruku Honda plant that hasn't even filed their paperwork yet to be on the radar for the EPA would concern me as a business owner. And then, okay, so we've seen this one. That's hot. And then we go down here into Edgewood. Now, I did this one, the Edgewood Water Company. I reached out to one of their town council members, and he said that somebody just forgot to file something. And I'm gonna believe him for the moment because I like him. So hopefully it's just an error and it hasn't been corrected yet. But what I'm not liking is seeing that the Anderson wastewater treatment plant is in violation, and it stays in violation. And I kind of like to cover this each week because then it shows like the progression and the history behind these sites, okay? And I've already complained about this one because they changed their name from Anderson Sewage and Sludge to the Anderson wastewater treatment plant. And I just have a problem with that. And then 6 years of monitoring activities, or this is 6 years. Date of last compliance 3/5 Clean Water Act. So the reason why I wanted to go ahead and cover this one is because we're getting into what happened today at the Parks Board meeting. There was a very interesting conversation that took place today with the Parks Board. And there was a few things that happened during the meeting that I wanted to talk about because they didn't have, as usual, they said that their camera was working, but it didn't. And it is up now, like several hours later, so they did wind up recording it, but it wasn't live like it's supposed to. It said it was supposed to be live, but I couldn't see it, so I had to go off of Rebecca Croom's cam. But my concern is that all of this is getting pushed into the Anchor Park, the East End Anchor Park. When it floods, everything that is being discharged into the river is floating right down there to the East End Anchor Park. Now, I was trying to get this to pull up the other day and it wouldn't. But I got it to pull up today. So I want to show you this one. This says that all outfalls are in violation, all pollutants. This is CSO1 is in violation. Phosphorus total is in violation. So that is what I believe the phosphorus is what caused the algae bloom in the Superfund site last season. And I'm gonna have to get back out there to check out what's going on in the river soon. I just haven't got enough oomph in me to get out there because now Chesterfield's spitting some stuff out that I'm not too happy with. But my concern is these 16, 21, and 25. 25, I've been complaining to the city of Anderson since I figured out it wasn't in the right map. And I'll show you here. Okay. So if you want to check out the City of Anderson combined sewer overflow, and you want to do a little rabbit hole digging, there's some good information on here about the CSOs. And then you click this map here, and it pops open all of our CSOs. Some of them are down now. We used to have more, but this tells you that we still have some active ones. So this one's 26. This is actually where 25 should be. Oh, can you see that? I wish I could highlight that one. Let's see. It disappears when I go. that X that I'm bouncing on, if you can see that, that's the one that's supposed to be CSO 25. And I have called this to their attention on more times than I like to say. And they keep putting it down here in this cluster. The cluster of X's, which CSO 21 is in that cluster. And then you got CSO 16 at the top. So let me see if I can pull this other map up. Because I had it up earlier. I've just got off the screen. Okay, yep. It's the other CSO maps for EPA. Okay, so this shows you all the CSOs. It looks like not everybody uses CSOs, but the ones who do are mapped. They're supposed to be mapped. So let's go down here. Some of the apps or the websites that I'm using are using some of the older style websites, and I don't really like them very much. But on this one, so this map is the EPA map, and it has CSO 25 right there. That's not accurate. So now I have to call the EPA this week and talk about moving this one down to where it's supposed to be by Pittsford's Ditch. And to me, that messes up the readings for CSO 25 when they're trying to, you know, do some of the water testing, if they're not doing it in the right site. You know, yeah, this down here might be causing issues, right? But if they don't even have the right CSO, how do we know what it's really spitting out? And CSO 25 is supposed to be on that fourth plume that the Anderson Redevelopment Commission was talking about back in March. And we had the big old argument with them where they wouldn't let us talk. And I wouldn't leave the table until they gave me 3 minutes. And then this one right here is CSO 16. And if you really get technical, the city of Anderson is wanting to build a water park right here. Okay, but they can't get a handle on their CSOs. So what I told them, and I'm going to continue to maintain or continue to defend, is we shouldn't be building $1 million facilities while we still have all these environmental issues and our water's still dirty. Why do we want to have something to do with water entertainment if we can't even really use the water that we got? We can't really drink it. Some people have to boil their water. Some people are having more issues than others. Okay, CSO 13. What's this one? That's the Superfund site right here's a Superfund site. Killbuck Wetlands. But I did see these. So this is CSO 15. And this one's 14. So there should be other ones. So let's go back to that other map. What does it say? Okay. This one. It's not letting me go. Okay, there it goes. See, now, that bothers me. When I try to pull up the CSOs on that other map, it's not showing them. Why? So there should be all kinds of CSOs coming down through here to the Anderson Wastewater Treatment Plant. What this map is showing, the one from the city, is showing that some of these are active and some of them are not. But if they're active, then why are they not on the other website? Okay, so the ones with the red on it is bypassed, so they're not working. The one with the blue is the plant outfall, and the ones with like the yellow gold are the active CSOs. So active CSOs are over that cluster right there, CSO 16 at the tip of Athletic Park. And then it goes through. See, they don't have any there in the Killbuck wetlands because they got a bunch of issues, I think. So they've taken these out through there. It comes down here. These are gone, but there's still one there. Okay, and then there's the one with the plant here at the very tip. And then it shows that there's another CSO beside it. I've tried to get back there and look at these, and they shut the gate on me. They wouldn't let me go see it, which is concerning. We should be able to see what's going on with our water. I'm not a terrorist, so they should let us watch. Okay, so the Parks Board, let me go back to this other one. The Parks Board was fighting over, or we've been fighting with the Parks Board over the Anchor Park. So you got Gene Guston Way. Right in here is where the Anderson wastewater treatment plant that has kicked, and like they have done so much to our environment over the years. And then over here is the Anchor Park. So to me, when it floods, it comes right down here, and it's going to just really flood in this area. So if you're going out there and you're playing on the water, you need to pay attention. It's like stay alert, stay alive, because these people are not wanting to tell us what's really going on. And that to me is sad. And then it goes into, let me go back to that one. It goes into Noblesville, right? So all of our junk continues into Perkinsville, where they're putting a West End Anchor Park. It goes into Hamilton County, into Strawtown. You know what? I would like to know. Well, and I'm going to do some rabbit hole digging, because I want to see what's going on through this area. I would like to go float it, but I got to figure out where my boat ramps are. So I could probably go in at Perkinsville, but I don't know if I would have to get out at Strawtown or not. So I'm going to do some digging. I want to see what the water looks like out there. And then they got, I would like to know what it's saying here on their wastewater treatment. And I wonder if they ever look, if they've ever thought about it, and some of their stuff being from other cities floating down to them. And then whatever goes on in these cities then travels down into Indianapolis. So that's concerning. And then my other one is that if they put a data center on the White River in Delaware County, then all that's going to be floating into Anderson. So it's like you can't get around some of the issues that we're having. And if they don't have people that are in Delaware County saying, hey, well, whoa, wait a minute, you know, we don't want this data center on the White River, then we're going to be in a little bit of trouble. Because if we need to get a handle on our water, and it's already got issues. Let me see, I got some, yeah, I got the link. Okay, I sent the link. It was the zoning board from yesterday. Okay, yeah, I got it. Where's the dam at down south? Like down south as in on the White River? Because they have weird little dams in a couple different places along the Anderson White River. And I haven't got past the, what's it called? Riverbend Park yet. I was going to go do the Riverbend Park to Noblesville or something, but it's like, it takes a lot. It takes like an 8-hour trip. Okay, so I wanted to show something else here. So today was the Parks Board hearing. And what was very concerning to me, I'm going to do this. You know, it's kind of interesting. I just, I got elected officials liking my comments on other feeds that I left today. And so it's always funny when they get on there liking my stuff, because I'm like, oh Lord, it's gonna bring them over to my page. And then they're gonna get mad at some of my posts. It is what it is. Okay, it is. I'm always posting something. So I personally thought that I think this guy that is working for us with these I thought he was pretty smug and arrogant. Okay, is it this one? Okay, so I went live and I piggybacked off of Rebecca Croom's feed. But the problem with Rebecca Croom's feed is I need to get her some microphones back. And I have her microphones. She gave them to me. And I just, whatever. And she continues to be one of my main camera people that I piggyback off of. So if you want to go back and watch the whole thing, you can watch it here or you can watch it on the live. They did wind up uploading it. So when I was trying to pull it up earlier, I'm going to try to get this to go big. It's not going to. But basically what you can see here is it says live. It says live up there. It says August 6th. So I don't know what they have going on with their video stuff. They're trying to get new stuff. And I really truly believe that it's not necessarily the equipment. It's the human behind it. Okay. But for today, when I was trying to get it live, it says live. And then once again, it does weird stuff. And I kept going and redoing my screen, okay, to make sure that if it was my tech, and I have some pretty fancy tech. I mean, I got a gaming computer running, and I got this computer with the specs and everything just so I could do podcasts. So for me not to be able to use some of their stuff is disheartening. But this is a good little clip I caught.
Going through the whole process.
These were notes.
I'm sorry, you must be misreading something.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it right here. The mowing is 15,000. You've got anticipated trash pickup, road entryway maintenance. There's a whole list of items.
Road entryway is 4,000 more. That's additional.
I'm sorry.
No. These all total at 47,500. Yeah. And same for the other part. All of those. So I put it. All that is line item. I use that.
Because I mow drains, and we bid everything out, and then we take the S2, we present it to the drainage board at that point, and then we pick the vendor at that point.
Yeah, we understand. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it.
I think the comments are.
And I also think this is one of the longest park board hearings that they've had in a really long time. And it didn't really seem like they knew what they were doing. And then you start looking into, they want to give 100. Okay, I got it. I know what I'm going to do. Catherine. Someone sent Catherine the documents from this, okay? Let's see. Okay, here's one of the Parks Board members. And I like Patty. Physic Hobbs. I like Patty. She is the blonde, or I think it's like a blonde. She might be like a white, but I like her. And she's been a firecracker since she got on the board, and she is one of Ken's picks, because the other people that were on the board, it's been a disaster. I mean, we've already lost Jessica Baston, the county engineer, because of this project, the Anchor Park project, and then we lost her buddy that was on the board, and I think it's all because of the spending. And then today we learned that they didn't even have this is their first budget. They have been a parks board for nearly, let's say 2 years. We'll give them 2 years. So in 2 years, you haven't had a budget, and this is the first time that the county council has asked for you to write down a budget. That's weird to me. But over here, Patty's saying, as a Parks Board member, I wanted to share that today's meeting at noon will be an important one, and that if you can please make plans to attend. because I only received the agenda last night, and that's a recurring problem for a lot of the boards. Like, they wait until the absolute last minute. They want to push these people in there and then tell them to make a decision. How can you make a decision if you don't really fully comprehend what you're looking at and you haven't had more than a day to sit down and read it? I think they should have to give them the information at least 7 days, right? And I would even settle for 72 hours because people can cram. But waiting until the night before and then telling them they have to go in and make a decision the next day is for the birds. And she goes on to say, I wanted to share the updates on the Anchor Park given, but more importantly, the board will be seeking to approve $318,000 budget. Oh my goodness. The budget, which includes the hiring of a Parks Board director for an annual salary of $88,000 to $97,000, salary plus benefits, plus $38,000 for marketing. Okay, and I'm sure the lady that's doing the marketing is really good. I kind of like her, but I think she was friends with the other people that were on the board, and that's how she got her position. And that's what other people were saying on the feed today, was that they already know who they want in this position. And then here is the agenda. Now, the agenda, I'll show you when you pop up this screen over here. Wait, where did it? See? That was from earlier. Now, this one is what they have up there now. But just my point. So from earlier when I was trying to watch, that's what it looked like. And I'm going to shut that window down. But then after a couple hours, they actually uploaded this into the computer, but they don't have any documents associated with this meeting. And we've said something to Jeff about putting the agendas up there so that we know what they're talking about. We want copies of these documents so we can see what they're reading. They don't even have to print them off for us. If that's an issue about printing, some of us can live with an electronic copy, right? We can print it off ourselves. We just want to be able to see it, touch it. I don't even want to smell it because whatever, but touch it. I want to touch it and I want to look at it, right? And they're not letting us. So somehow, as usual, it's either me or Catherine gets documents that nobody else has. We love our people. We want you to know that. We love, from the bottom of our hearts, we love the people that support us. And in total, in several different elections, Catherine, I think we got up to, I didn't see how many voted for this round, but in 2024, we had more than 5,000 people that supported us. Like 6,174 people voted for Catherine against Todd Culp, and she got within a 500 vote radius. So we have supporters, even though we get punished a lot for the things that we put out and say. And we appreciate when they send us this important information, because without our people, our insiders, and everyone that loves us, we'd never see some of this stuff. And we can't tell who our sources are, right? We can't. So anyway, Madison County Parks Recreation Board meeting, Madison County Government Center for August 6th. So I don't even they should have to set their agendas up just like the other boards. So this isn't a fancy agenda. Call to order, roll call, approval of minutes, budget approval. Their budget process, they went through it for like an hour, and then people were trying to talk and get points in, and it was getting them all frustrated, and it is what it is. But we got questions and they don't want to give us answers. Okay. Construction updates. Jason Taylor, owner's representative, Burgess and Nipple. They're the people helping build. And you know what? It was weird when he got up there. So if anybody goes back and watches the clip, if you're interested, I can send you the links to what we have, and then the link to the live website. And I'm going to go back and record the live website so that we can have our own copy, because the sound's better in it. But until then, just bear with me. But he was kind of rude, and it sounded like he was telling them what they were going to do. Like, we're going to do this, and then we're going to bill you and send you the bill, and then you guys are going to pay us, right? No, I didn't know that's how you barter and do business. I would not like someone taking hundreds of thousands of taxpayer money and tell us we're going to do the work. We're, that's what you hired us for. We're going to give you everything you want, but, give us 2 to 4 million. And I forget how much they wound up giving them. And in one of the other videos I did with Rachel Christian, same thing. In that board meeting, that's basically what they said. You're giving us $2 to $4 million. And I think this was the one from like 2 or 3 months ago. And he's like, you're going to give us a $2 to $4 million, and we're going to give you everything that you asked for. But then when Ken started bringing up, well, okay, why'd you spend, I think they were only supposed to spend $400,000 for the property, and they wound up spending $800,000 for swamp area. Like, it floods a lot. And that's why I've been complaining about the flooding. I guess maybe Jessica, that's why she stepped down, maybe. I don't know. We still don't have a confirmation on that. But that's odd. And then they don't want to tell Ken what's going on, and Ken's the actual elected official. So, anyway, revised bio retention pond design. See, and I could hear some of the stuff that they were saying, but I also wasn't sure on some of the stuff they were saying. And I understood why everybody was saying you can't hear, because her camera's messed up, or her volume, they don't speak loud. Let's say that, because she has an iPhone, but they're not speaking loud. So, approval of park board appointments for expenditures and authorizations. This is just iffy for me. And as a parks board member, for Patty being up there, I can see why she's a little concerned about being pressured to authorize all these funds when they don't want to answer their questions. And I haven't got to do the video clips from when Ken and Kevin Smith were arguing back and forth a couple weeks ago. I've been saving those bad boys for a rainy day when I don't have anything else to cover. But they got into some heated exchange at one of these meetings over some of this funding, and I quit being friends with Kevin over it because he yelled at Ken, and I felt like that Ken's been the one standing up for the property owners down through there, and without Ken telling them what's up and don't do this, don't do that, we would be screwed as a community. Okay, so meeting notes for approvals, 2027 budget approval. Mowing. See, and here's something else. A lot of people are talking about our regular city parks and street departments in Anderson and some of the surrounding areas, and they're not mowing them. They're overgrown. They don't take care of what we have already, and then they want to go and spend $47,500 for mowing. Well, I do have a friend that lives really close to this property, and I bet you he sends me pics of all the vehicles that go over there. So we'll find out who's going to get this $47,500. I'll have him start sending me some information on that. Temporary public restrooms. See, this bioswale maintenance, sediment litter removal, vegetation management, parking lot maintenance, $47,500. I want to know why they're taking stuff away from Perkinsville and adding that to the east end. Because I don't think there will be as many people down there at the west end, and I think they want this east end park is close to all the elected officials. So you got, man, last time I did something like that, they said I was doxing them when I showed the map. I do have their locations of their houses, and I'm trying to figure out which map I want to pull up real quick. Okay, let's do this one. So, believe it or not, in this area right here, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 elected or appointed officials that live within this area that I can think of right off the top of my head. Okay, so why they want this East End Anchor Park to be better than the others? Because supposedly they're going to be using them. Plus, it helps boost their property values. Now, some of my friends that live over there aren't happy about it because now they're going to lose their country type setting, and they're concerned about who is going to be coming and using this park. And then you got the elected officials who helped the idea get pushed along the White River here. And I'm not going to point out which house is the Likens, but the Likens family owns 10 plus properties along the White River. Somebody else said that I shouldn't be so concerned about our elected officials, family members making money off of these projects. And I thought it was against the law. I didn't know that you could, as a government actor, that you could make money off these deals. And we're getting rammy-cacked by our elected officials. Okay. Well, I know their addresses are public record, but I just, for all intents and purposes right now, I don't feel like pointing it out. I'll show that another day. And the way it say they're putting wildflowers in, so what needs mowed? I did catch that. So this is going to be really interesting. If you look, okay, you can't see it on this map. So this map might be a little outdated, but it kind of wraps around, and then there's another opening over here on this other side. So they come in, there's some parking. I think whatever they're going to be doing is behind this berm of trees and back in here. I should go drive back here. But I always think I'm up to something. And I am up to something. I want to see what they're doing. Okay. Back to the documents. So it's $47.5 for mowing. 15 acres times 20 mowing, $50 per acre. Aaron, you want to start a mowing business? I think we should start a mowing business if they're making that much money mowing. Did you see that? How much money they were making on the mowing? You want to start a mowing business? Invasive removal. Reseeding plant. No, that's a good point. $50 per acre is not really a good cost. Unless they're expecting them to get done in an hour. Now, okay, I'm going to break this down more later. I'm not going to focus on that too much. We'll come back and talk, because this is one of the topics we cover. And they were talking about nobody else really has a county parks board around us. I think Hamilton County there might have been 2 other counties that have a county parks board, but I don't think anybody else took their ARPA funds and created a parks board, because who wants to take ARPA funds that could be used to help the actual community and divert it into these anchor parks? Well, because elected officials already knew they was getting these ARPA funds, and they had already made plans on how to spend them before they got the rules on what they could do with the money, in my opinion. And so then they spent all this time paying these people to come in and give them, okay. I'm just going to show you. It's easier for me to show you than explain it. Okay. See if this gives me, yep. All right. So this is the American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA. So tell me, how is a park helping rescue America or our community from the COVID? And we won't get into the Fauci stuff. Maybe we'll cover that a different day. But they did a White River Greenway feasibility study. Okay. This is where it starts getting interesting, because you start looking at who's on the parks board, who sat on these boards. Okay, and Burgess and Nyepel, they are one of them. They helped design all this feasibility study. So at this point, they're kind of cocky and arrogant with us. Like I said, I don't like it, how he was talking to everybody. And let me see. The good stuff, I mean, it kind of gives you a breakdown of all these parks. That's the area. And a lot of people still think they want to bring this trail in. So that's why I'm following along with the story too, because I want a greenway project. I want a trail that connects us, right? That's not the argument that I have. I don't like eminent domain. So I don't think that they should force any of these property owners to do something that they don't want to do. And then after I did my own digging on the county websites, I found that 10 plus of these properties down the White River on the north side of the river were owned by lichens or a family member, extended family member. And they were, I mean, if they got 800,000 for that swamp, just think what they would have given to some of these people for their properties. I don't know if I was a lichens. So our families came here together through the Civil War, and they did the land grants. And so, you know, the privates and the lower grade soldiers got the smaller properties, and whatever, rest is history. We lost our property out here in Perkinsville, but my family's buried in Perkinsville, and then the lichens, and there's a couple other families that all came over to help establish Madison County or Indiana in general. Some of the bigger ones that were like the commanders in the military, they got larger properties. So lichens was one, and hence they just did a better job at maintaining their properties or just their money and inheritance. And then this says Noble and Maud lichens. So I'm gonna have to do some more digging now that I see this. Okay, the point of what that I was trying to make here is who sat on this board. This is the one in Perkinsville, so it's slightly different. There's like 30 something pages in here, but on the very last page, oh, did you take it out? See, no, I might be getting them confused. Or was it in the beginning? Nope. Okay. So let's go back to this other one. It did it to me. Look at that. My mean mug. Try to go backwards. Wasn't the right button. Okay. So in here, okay, here we go. So Park Trails and Open Spaces Master Plan. Ben Orcutt, who happens to be the guy with the dreadlocks running the Parks Board. Rachel Christensen I don't know if she got fired or kicked off, but she was the force behind getting a lot of this master plan completed, but then they weren't letting us speak. Nancy Anderson also owns a property close to the East End Anchor Park. They put Patty on the board because she owns something down there too. And then I think Patty replaced Tom Bannon or Rob Wolfgang. I don't remember which one. But anyway, those were the people that were on one board. And then, let me see. It might be at the top. It's been so long. Okay, leadership team. Let's see. Yep, here we go. So, this was the leadership team behind the big idea with how to spend this money. And I don't agree with what they chose to do with it. And I'm not gonna agree when we have so much stuff going on in the cities that we would have that much money to be able to put towards a new park, and then who gets to use it. Supposedly lichens and them are wanting to do some type of river, something down by their houses. Okay, so building a parks trail for these guys to tap into their water thing. That's interesting. Stephanie Mellinger, Health Department. Tom Shepard, Rick Gardner, Anthony Emery. See, Ben Gale and Anthony Emery, we helped get them voted out. Ben Gale and them in the county council meetings turned into like little tyrants, and they were yelling at us all the time. So the voters of Madison County said they voted them off our island. Olivia Pratt is getting ready to be voted off the island. She's not coming back. She was supposed to get married to some dude in Grant County that's another elected official, and he got in trouble. So her whole future has been rammy-cacked. But here, Darlene Likens, okay, and John Richwine. Some of our elected officials are making a lot of money off these projects, period. I don't know. I can't explain it, but it just doesn't make sense that they're making all these decisions without talking to people. And I can't find what I want over there, so we're just going to come back over here, and I might have some more information for you by next time. So here was today's budget, and this is just nuts. A lot of us are just like, this just seems wasteful spending. Park director, that was it. The 135,500 was what everybody was flipping out about. Parks director, parks maintenance, coordination, grant writing, budget meeting, coordination, outreach events. Man, if I would have known you could get this much money from doing this kind of stuff, I myself would have chosen a different profession, because I would have been good at some of this. Now, if I ever get elected, my stuff's going to be drainage and trying to get everything back to working order again, where the poor people aren't getting rammy-cacked by a lot of the decisions, because I come from poor folk, and I've watched my family get, they wouldn't let us even build on our property in Irondale because of some of the water issues. And 6 puppies, as soon as they talked about a trail walking, it sounded it's going to death be the river walk. Yep. And then something just came out the other day where it shows that they got one of a path that's going north or south to north or north to south, but that it could connect into what we have on the Green or the White River. So okay, marketing materials 12,500. Printing flyers, posters, letterhead, events. So 318,000. Construction updates, Perkinsville access site. So I guess they did do good following along with this. I just wish we would have got it before the meeting, because then we could actually ask questions. We can't ask questions if we don't have stuff right in front of us. And if they're only giving it to them 24 hours before, and I think I almost said something I shouldn't have, so somebody got this to us either way, but I don't think they had it within 24 hours before the meeting, or we probably would have saw it last night. We didn't get this until after the meeting today, I believe, sure, unless Catherine was sitting on it. She does that sometimes too. So gate, walking trails, crushed stone, cross section. Somebody was saying something about the grass is still going to grow wherever the rocks are. That might have been 6 puppies. Please note that the board, in coordination with Avenue, will need to remain flexible regarding amenity selections due to the following factors: material lead time, potential delays in procurement, construction duration, schedule impacts based on scope and sequencing. Okay, now down to the names, and then we're almost done. I think this is all I wanted to really talk about, and it's 8:19, and I don't really foresee anything else on my list. Oh, I can show you the E. coli. We can stop on the E. coli because it's still important. It's coming from Chesterfield into Anderson. And So Six Puppies is asking. This is when it got kind of weird because I didn't understand what they were saying, and it was like they had to make a decision before they left the board meeting today. And somebody in the audience said we already have a Founders Park in Madison County, so that would be kind of confusing. And that name came from Olivia Pratt. Interesting. Johnson Overlook, Nanticoke Trail, Bicentennial Shelter, etc. The Nanticoke Park, the name represents the Nanticoke Indian tribe that once lived in the area where the park is located. However, the committee noted that its pronunciation may be difficult for many people to say and spell. Yeah, that's weird. And so then they said, great news to share. Madison County Council government is designing our park entrance sign. Now, if we don't have enough money for what we got, how is the Madison County Council going to see? This is the stuff that starts getting us all frustrated, because if you have a budget, okay, and they were told at the beginning of the year nobody could get raises, they had to fire like 5% out of each department, but then we have money to build a sign at a park entrance. That don't make sense to me. And right, how many driveways that are gravel that don't have weeds growing in it? Yeah, so I mean, I don't think they're making the best decisions. They sound like a lot like smug, and they're gonna do what they want to do regardless if we like it or not. Okay. So yeah, so I think they were looking at the Nanticoke, and I'll have to go back and listen to the meeting myself and see, because I'm pretty sure they didn't go with Founders Park. But if they went with the Nanticoke Park, then that's kind of weird, because nobody's going to be why didn't we have more options? Why is Founders Park and Nanticoke Park the only two options that we have on here? And sadly, that's true. My husband, they don't care about us. They have cost me and my husband over $100,000 in damages. If we really want to get technical, we're up over $200,000 in damages, because we had to move from the city of Anderson inside the city to outside the city, and then it got us into another issue with the a different politician that tried to steal our half acre, and nobody came to our aid. So my husband and I don't have very high regard for our elected officials. We don't want to hurt them, right? We just have questions, and they don't like answering them. And then they said they put $25,000 aside for the sign. Yeah. So you're gonna. Oh wait, who said that in the meeting? Six Puppies. See, and the last time I thought so too. I thought they named more than that, but for some reason they just landed on those two. Yes. Okay. So there's that. So I'll know more by next week what they actually named it, and I will put something online the next couple of days if I find the answer. Okay, so I don't think I got to this part yet, and this is what we're going to kind of go end on, is I'm not a happy camper with Chesterfield. No, I'm going to have to get on a different screen. Hold on. Okay. I'm not a happy camper with Chesterfield, you guys, because they're currently in violation. They got $5 million to do a bunch of upgrades, and if we can't get the chemicals right that they're putting into the water to help treat stuff, then why are we spending millions of dollars on parks that some of us may not even be able to use? Just don't make no sense. Now, on the CSO chart, I figured out where one of them was located. Sorry, push the wrong button. Which one was the violator? Because they have two CSOs in Chesterfield. They have CSO 1 and CSO 2. And this is what we found when we were looking around at that other company last week. So E. coli colony forming units. This bothers me because I watched my husband get sick last season. And it's another reason why I don't get back out on the river as quick. Like I used to be so like, I'm going, you know, I'd go, I'd go take off and go on adventures by myself all the time. He said, name it Corruption Cove. That'd be, yeah, that would do it. Yeah, I'm going to go back and listen to it. I think other people should listen to it too. So here are the numbers that we discovered this week. And I noticed like on the 65%, 95% right here, 10%, 178%, and 537%. So the 530 is solids total suspended. The 178 is solids total suspended. I'm concerned about the high levels of phosphorus. I'm glad that Ryan Pascal got, or the count, or city, dealt with the phosphorus daily load limit. But obviously they're not helping Chesterfield figure some stuff out. So I'm a little disappointed that it's like the B team or the D team is running these water departments and they don't know how to put the proper chemicals in. So now we have, let's see if it lets me do it. Yep, here we go. So yesterday or the other day when I was on Heads Up trying to look at this information, this screen wouldn't pop up for me. And that's concerning because this kind of tells us what. So this says all outfalls and then it says 001. So I don't know why number 2 isn't on here. Number 2, where did it show up at? Okay, this is it, I think. This is the other one for the EPA. So my concern was it's going down this little creek. So this is what I know. So this one over here is 02. Okay, that's number 2 on the White River. So it might not be on the White River. But if this is 01 outfall, that's kind of even worse for me because that's in the center of town. Okay, of Chesterfield. And then it goes down, looks like Donnelly Ditch. And then Donnelly Ditch, which I was hoping, what's her name? I can't think of her name right now. She was on here the other day. And I think she lives really close to this Sly Creek. And so if this CSO up here is in violation, then where's all this going? I would be concerned if I lived in Chesterfield right now because they had, what was it, last week or the week before, their water went brown. I think everybody was out for a couple days. So pay attention, Chesterfield, because this affluent chart over here says that there's E. coli at CSO number 1. And that would be the one right in the middle of the city. So that's very concerning. Okay, this chart kind of gives you some information. It kind of tells you what the limit is for the day. Hold on. It wasn't, if anybody was watching me the other day, these weren't popping up. And I think they know that I look at these. So DMR exceeded limit. So this is talking about 65% E. coli. And this happened around my birthday in May. So they only had, Chesterfield got a water boil warning. But we're not getting water boil warnings in Anderson, which is a big concern for us. I think that's it, guys. Stay alert, stay alive, because obviously they don't really care about us. Because if they did, they would be warning us about these water issues. And I'm not going to stop warning everybody because my mom got sick from groundwater contamination in the 1960s close to the Wheeler water treatment plant and CSO 25, Pittsford's Ditch, all in that area. So I had to watch my mom be sick her whole entire life. So the water stuff becomes very important to me personally because my life has been affected by it. It's not what if, right? At this point, now it's traumatic. It's like, no, it happened and she was never right after that. I don't even think she was supposed to have me, but she did. So, you know, the rest is history. But she died in November 1st, 2024, a week after I learned about PFAS in the White River, or PFAS in our drinking water, which made me really, that's kind of how we got to where I'm at now. And I understand it because of I have biohazard training when I was in the military. So some of this stuff is right down my alley of being able to track and point out some discrepancies. And sadly, I went back to the City of Anderson meetings from the beginning of the year when I was pointing out that we had high levels of phosphorus in our White River. Some of that footage is gone. So now I learned another lesson. So as soon as these meetings go on and we talk to these people, I'm going to have to start recording it more often. So it is what it is. And my husband always says, and it ain't what it ain't. So thank you guys for tuning in. I greatly appreciate you. I truly do. So, all right, guys, have a good evening. And I will have an outro in the future, but I'm going to go out with my intro just because I think it's a catchy little tune. So, all right, see you next week. Oh, Saturday.
Turn the mic up, let the whole town know. Truth hits hard when the headlines go. From the courthouse steps to the water line, we follow the paper and expose the signs. Burning bridges, lighting up the night. Toxic water, but we still stand and fight. Local, state, and the national map. Say her name loud. Nicole in all caps. Raw and unfiltered, reality uncut. Digging through the stories they tried to shut up.